do have a heightened sensitivity to any rumor or concern about a student possibly having a firearm. Anytime we get a call like this, we take it very seriously until we can determine the extent of the weapon, if it's real or not, and what the student intends to do with it. But some people said police and school administrators overreacted. Really? You think? Anybody else out there think that they overreacted? Again, I've seen a picture of the thing. And the orange tip is a dead giveaway too. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a toy. What happens when kids are no longer allowed to play with toys? Yeah, I think there was a little bit of an overreaction. The kid is still being charged. He's being charged with having a weapon when what he had was a toy. Can anybody explain that? Does that make sense anywhere? I mean, this is worse than the Hello Kitty bubblegum incident. Yeah, she just got suspended. This 10-year-old is facing juvenile hall for having a toy gun that he obviously had had all day, and somebody caught him on the way home. Kid should have kept it in the backpack just a few minutes longer, evidently. Anyway, the story continues. A toy gun is no danger to anyone. This is a quote from Leanne Rozelle, the Executive Director of Families and Allies of Virginia's Youth. She continues, a 10-year-old is not a fully formed adult by any means, and that kind of situation should be dealt with outside the courts and the justice system. Robin Flicker, a Bethesda attorney who represented a 6-year-old Montgomery County student who was suspended last month for pointing his finger and saying "pow," said the schools have become terror-stricken. And you know what? Seems like that's the case, but I don't think terror-stricken's accurate. Now, I'll go into that a little bit more. I'll finish up with the quote, though. She said that the schools have become terror-stricken. That just shows a certain hysteria with the school administration. This comment came Tuesday and continued, what is the point? To say that you don't like guns? You don't like the Second Amendment? A letter was sent home to the parents of all MacArthur students about the incident. Okay. Now, let's pretend for a second that this isn't just misplaced hysteria. Let's pretend for a second that somebody, once again, is trying to take full advantage of any incident that arises in order to further their agenda. If you have an anti-gun agenda, if you have any kind of agenda, where's the best place to start? If you really want to make fundamental changes in the attitudes of citizens of any country, if you can't reach the older folks who are old enough to make up their own mind and have figured out that that's what they have to do anyway, you're going to waste your time trying to talk to them a whole heck of a lot unless you got a large enough group of reasonable people and your agenda is a reasonable agenda. But if your agenda is something like the decay of the family unit, the destruction of the Constitution, the disarming of American citizens, where do you start with that kind of thing? Oh, public schools, maybe? Well, why not? If right now these kids at 5, 6, 8, 10 years of age can be forced into a situation where they're completely terrified of having something that just looks like a gun. Hello, we're going to put you in juvenile hall, which to a kid is jail. We're going to put you in jail for having a toy gun. What's that going to do to the kid? You're mentally going to scar this child to the point that they become terrified to be around a toy gun. And if it's a kid, you're scared to be around a toy gun. What's that going to do in shaping your attitude towards real guns when you're an adult? Whether you support someone else's right to have it or not, you're going to be freaked out anytime you see it, because only bad things happen when the guns are around. Right? Is it possible that this could be simply part of the agenda? I don't know. Maybe this is part of our conspiracy corner for tonight. But when you see things happen over and over again, and you see activism and indoctrination taking place in a lot of the public schools, and don't get me wrong, I am not attacking school teachers on this issue. School teachers as a whole, I think, do a tremendous job with very little resources. The teachers in this state have low wages and have a tremendous amount of out-of-pocket expenses in order to try and do the things that they feel like they need to do. And the better teachers are spending more of their own money to do it. I think the teachers deserve a great deal of respect everywhere. But there is still no question that there are teachers in our public schools today that are involved in indoctrinating liberal-minded ideologies. The purpose of a teacher is supposed to be to educate, and not so much even just whatever the coursework is, make the kids be able to fundamentally memorize and know every aspect of whatever, but to create children capable of independent, critical thought. We don't see that anymore. We don't see a level of involvement from the parents that push the kids to do that. We don't see a level of engagement with teachers to students to what it used to be. And again, not every teacher falls into that category. I'm not trying to group every teacher. Ooh, teacher's bad. No. I know teachers that are in there doing the best job they can. And I'm sure, just like with police officers, a lot of regular citizens don't want to deal with the cops. Ooh, don't like the cops. Stay away, cops. Don't get behind me, cops. One bad experience can paint your view of a whole group of people. But I know for a fact most police officers are good folks that are dedicated to doing a very tough and a very dangerous job. Modern school teachers, especially at high school level, or junior high and above, they've got a pretty dangerous job these days too. These kids come to school with real weapons, and they're not afraid to throw down. It's dangerous work, and these people are doing a tough job by any standard. But there is still no place for indoctrination here, and that's why we have to raise the alarm when we see something like this. And that's why I have to mention the idea that we've seen too many kids in the past few weeks get in way too much trouble for doing innocent childhood play things. The minute kids aren't allowed to play with toys, there's something wrong. The minute kids aren't allowed to use their imagination, the minute kids are no longer allowed to play cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians, and I know that's offensive. There's no such thing as cowboys and Indians anymore. There's cowboys and the Native Americans who have been treated harshly. And that much is true. I don't mean to dismiss it. But again, no such thing as cops and robbers anymore. Just the police and victims of society. Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? Modern movies haven't helped out with that. You've got a point in our not too distant past where Hollywood, on the whole, presented police officers as the heroes. They were the good guys. You can count on them. Now, somewhere close to 80% of every movie involving a cop storyline, cop's the bad guy. Some of them you get lucky enough that, okay, here's the bad cops, but there's some good cops trying to stop them. Yay for the good cops. In real life, yes, there's corruption. There are bad cops. But the majority of cops are out there risking their life every day to perform a public service. The majority of teachers are out there every day doing the best they can and getting nowhere near enough respect or enough pay for what they're doing. But this is an administrative move, and this is also a move that enough teachers have gotten behind that in these different states, they want to terrify kids of guns. They want them to be completely terrified of the idea of playing with toy guns or imagining you have a gun. And, oh no, a bubble gun that's going to kill people. Come on. This is insanity in and of itself, and it has to be stopped. We can't allow it to continue. We, as American citizens, need to step up. This isn't even just a conservative and liberal thing. I don't care how much you hate guns. If you love the children as much as I keep hearing a lot of my liberal friends say when it comes to battle cries for excuses to spend money, you can't continue to treat children like they are a piece of collateral damage in your wars to end the Second Amendment. It's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to America. And it's just not right. Just another quick note in regards to yesterday's story and a big story again today about Obama trying to get judicial legitimacy for killing American citizens without a trial. That story was broke by NBC. NBC, which has been firmly in the pocket of the Obama administration for some time now. NBC that is owned by GE. We know how tight GE and the Obama administration is. If they see it as a big enough deal to mention it, that's just one more clue about how scary it really is. Because they have looked the other way on a whole lot of stuff. There's no question about that. I don't care how much of the Kool-Aid you've been drinking, you can't deny that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Tap Into the Truth. Thanks for hanging on and listening. Today, we have been discussing a few of the things from yesterday, and now we're going to get to the topic. We're talking about Sheeple. It's a sad breed. Basically, the idea to go ahead and talk about this, because I've used the term Sheeple and Kool-Aid drinkers quite a bit, but I saw this really great article from Brandon Smith yesterday, and I think it bears proper attention. So let's go over the article and then let's talk about it. Some phrases are steeped in immediately recognizable symbolism. When we hear them, we instantly know to whom and to what the phrases refer. We can even gain a greater depth of understanding to a particular situation because of them. They cause us to step outside our environment and to look at it in an entirely different way. They might make us laugh. They might make us cry. But we are not indifferent to these affecting words. The term sheeple has quickly become a word that defines an era. It is not just a tool for ridicule, though it does indeed seem to hurt the feelings of the ignorant and unaware, which, to my mind, is a good thing. If they can feel shame about their factual inadequacies, then perhaps one day they can be redeemed. No, there's much more going on here. When one is surrounded by blatant absurdity and total loss of freedom, compassion, and humanity, he needs a way to describe the horror, to shed light on the dark insanity of it, to remove the barriers of confusion, and to build a clear path to reason. He needs to quantify the threat so that he can move beyond it and towards understanding. In our modern age, we are absolutely